Hey guys, welcome back here to today's edition of Intuitive Angling. Appreciate you guys swinging by the channel to spend some time with me on the video. And guys, today I want to dive into something that I've been talking quite a bit about over the past year or so, and I want to get in detail about why professional bass fishing, not really just professional bass fishing, but tournament level bass fishing in general is going down the toilet. And there's a lot of different reasons for this, guys. I'm going to share some stuff with y'all in this video that I've never talked about before, and it really needs to be discussed because we live in a world of professional bass fishing now, or tournament bass fishing, where so many people are just in denial of reality for a lot of different reasons. So I want to get into that in today's episode, and definitely looking forward to hearing your guys' feedback and comments. So please get a dialogue going in the comment section. I appreciate that. Also, guys, quick reminder, we are getting close to our first live stream here on Intuitive Angling. I've never done one before, and I'm getting ready to start a live stream for all of the channel members of all three of my channels: Intuitive Angling, Fishing Teacher, Advanced Bass Fishing, and the Patreon members. This is going to be a private live stream that we're going to do probably once a week. Talk about a lot of stuff we don't talk about anywhere else, communicate with you guys, and if you'd like to be part of that, all you got to do is just join up, become a channel member, go to my YouTube homepage. You'll see the little join button, click that for info, or just join the Patreon program by going into my video description and signing up for Patreon. So hope to see you guys there at the first live stream coming up probably in a couple weeks there. Okay, guys, this is something we can't ever stop talking about this, because it's only people like myself and the veterans of the sport that have been there prior to what we have seen unfold about over the past 10 years really in the sport that really understand what is happening here. If you are a younger angler, like say for example, if you're somebody under 35 or 40, you don't know what it was like because you were too little. You were in kindergarten when all this stuff was going on that I'm talking about. So I sort of want to go over that today a little bit about what has happened and the degradation of tournament bass fishing and why it has taken place. Okay, now, like a lot of people, guys, that's all I've ever wanted to do is be a professional bass angler. Ever since I was reading Bassmaster in 5th grade at Duquesne Elementary School in Joplin, Missouri, dreaming about being a bass pro. And I was one of the few people that were fortunate enough to do that for a career for 40 years. So I've been there and I've done that. I've seen the good, the bad, the ugly, every part of tournament bass fishing. So I can talk about it. I've been there, I've seen it. I've seen the evolution of it. I've seen where it was. I've seen the progression of it, where it is now in comparison to that. A lot of people they have never done that. They're too young to be able to, be aware of that. Okay, now let me run you through what has happened here. When I started fishing tournament professionally, my first year was the 1986 season. From about late 1980s, when Bassmaster first came on the TNN, when they had the Bassmasters program with Bob Cobb on TNN in the late 80s. From about that period up into probably about 2004, where it started ending, from, let's say, for example, from 1989 to 2004, it was the golden years of fishing, because what made it the golden years of fishing, there's a couple different things. Number one, we had very good leadership in the organizations. The leadership at the top tier was exemplary. It was people that had critical thinking skills and vision, and they had communication skills, and they were fishermen. These people fished a lot. So our leadership was in a different position. The second behind that is we did not have everybody and his brother having a tournament circuit. The only tournament circuits you basically had were, the Bassmaster circuit. FLW came along in the late 90s, and they had their own deal we'll talk about. And then you had the old Redman tournaments, which was the BFLs for the weekend anglers. And then you had just buddy tournaments, like benefit buddy tournaments. But in other words, you had a fraction of the tournaments that you do now, and you had a fraction of the tournament anglers. So you had that aspect with it. Another thing back then is it was more affordable. It's like during that period, entry fees for the top level tournaments were hovering around $1,000, $1,500 per tournament for the marquee top level. Fully rigged bass boats were under the state of the art. Fully rigged boat was under $30,000. You had a lot of that going on, and then you had a lot of interest within both the endemic side of the fishing industry and the non-endemic side of the bass fishing sport, especially from about 1998 to about 2004. You had a lot of non-endemic companies that got into it. So you had a really strong sponsorship base that basically allowed the tournaments to pay out over 100%, and it also provided a lot of sponsorship avenues for the pros. And for those of us who were really in the middle of this from about 1990 to 2004, if you consistently qualified for the classic, every year or every other year, and had some moderate to high level success, you could make a really good living from your winnings and from your tournament sponsorships during that period. Okay, now what happened, here is the de-evolution of it, what has happened, and why tournament fishing is going down the toilet right now. After about 2005, when we had, what had happened in 2005, guys, is there was a split. And there was a split between FLW and Bassmaster, because I was one of the several guys that fished both. I fished the Bassmaster Top 150s full-time, Bassmaster Elite 50s full-time, and the FLW Tour full-time. And what happened was in 2000 and I believe it was 2005, I think it was. That's when the Bassmasters created the Elite Series in 2005. So I got my invitation to fish the Bassmaster Elite Series in 2005, but the problem with that is part of the commitment that you had to make if you fish the Bassmaster Elite Series is you had to run a Bush Beer sticker on your boat, because Bush Beer was the title sponsor of Bassmaster, and the contract that I had with FLW and Fujifilm, I could not the part of my contract says I could not advertise alcohol or tobacco. So in 2005, myself and a lot of the other guys like Clark Winlet, David Dudley, there was a bunch of different guys like myself, the Hibdons, I believe Jay Ellis was in there, quite a few guys that were fishing both circuits. They had to make a decision whether they were going to lose their FLW deals, and we all had really good deals. We all had close to six-figure deals with FLW with these team deals, boats, trucks, everything with it. So we either had to lose that, or we had to just fish FLW. If we went over to Bassmaster, we could not have that. If we went over to Bassmaster, we could not, have the Bassmaster, the Bush Beer sticker on our team boats. I was sponsored by Fujifilm at the time. A lot of, like Clark Winlet was with Kellogg's, and that was a violation of our contract. So myself and a lot of the other guys, we made the decision to stay with FLW and not go with the Bassmaster Elite Series because of the sponsorship conflict, because we couldn't afford to do it. I mean, who can afford to throw out a six-figure sponsorship deal to fish a new circuit? So this split right here, this was the beginning of it, is when you had this split right there, it segmented the industry, and it began the downward spiral. And then fast forward a couple of years later, 2008, the big stock market crash hit in the fall of 2008, and it devastated the marketing budgets of companies. Every pro, including myself, we lost between 50 to 100% of our sponsorship income. Every single one of us. Tournament organizations did the same thing. This right here, fundamentally, the sport has never recovered from 2008. On top of that, you add the fact that during this when it was starting to recover, like in 2009, 2010, 2011, you had this influx of new tournament circuits popping up, more and more anglers popping up. Which I don't really understand, because there was nothing attractive about it at that point. It was so hard to get sponsors and everything, but for whatever reason, there were more tournament circuits popping up. As the economy started improving, like in You know, between 2009 and 2015, the economy started improving, getting stronger. You know, more fit people got into fishing. Boats started going up in prices. More tournament organizations started coming on. And this is another thing that contributed to the downfall of it, because as there became more and more circuits and more anglers, it became more difficult to stand out as an angler, because everybody was considered a pro. You had all these different circuits, more and more fishermen. So the sponsorship pie within the endemic and the non-endemic portion of the tournament world started to get smaller and smaller and smaller. And you had some of the marquee names that were hogging up the majority of the sponsorship pie, and everybody else was fighting over the crumbs with it. So after that period of time, it became next to impossible to make a decent living from a sponsorship standpoint. Okay, then during this period, you started having a lot of change in ownerships of the organization. Selling out, you'd have different management positions. And guys, one of the biggest things that's happened over the past 10 years, in my opinion, in tournament fishing, now this is not, I'm not making a blanket statement across the board, because there are some exceptions to this, but overall, we have lost a lot of the quality, management people. And in today's world of professional fishing, we have a lot of very unqualified, inept people running these tournament organizations. They don't fish. They don't know anything about bass fishing. They run it like a business without understanding the nuances of it. They don't have a lot of vision or foresight. And I've been around it, guys. I've been around since the Ray Scott days, and I've seen stuff change hands over and over again. And the management positions within the tournament organizations right now are weaker than they have ever been. That's one thing with it, because a good example with that is simply the fact that they can't generate the marketing dollars. They can't pull down those big sponsors to increase the payouts. And basically, tournament fishing today has been relegated, even at the top level, to just being a big jackpot tournament. I mean, Bassmaster pulls money out of the opens to pay for the Elite Series. Everybody's paying big, gigantic entry fees everywhere, $5,000-$6,000 entry fees to participate on the NPFL or the Bass Pro Tour. So it's pushed out the average angler, and sort of like we've ushered in this area of financial elitism within professional fishing at the top level. And then on top of that, you add the whole social media impact. YouTube, Instagram, Facebook has basically made tournament fishing or tournament anglers irrelevant to sponsors. They don't need them, because one of the best ways I've ever heard it put is one of the biggest companies in the fishing industry made a comment here recently to the pro staff at a pro staff meeting, saying that, you guys, we don't consider you guys professional anglers. You guys are just fishermen. You guys are just fishermen that happen to, you guys are just social media influencers that just happen to fish. So the value of social media has been placed upon influencers and not tournament competitors. So it's completely flipped upside down what it means to be a professional angler. So in hindsight with that, it's like you've got this combination of inept management at the top, too many tournaments, too many tournament anglers, too much competition. Everybody says competition's good. It's not good in the sport here. It's really hurt the sport, too much competition. You've got this technology that is influencing the sport, that's degrading it and really giving the sport a black eye, and it's really changed the face of it completely. And then again, people cannot market themselves as professional anglers, and tournament organizations simply don't have value to the advertisers like they did prior to this. It's a combination of a lot of different things. So I'm not real optimistic about it, guys, to tell you the truth. That's like, this is a self-inflicted wound, and it's been self-inflicted, like I said, by number one, people being in positions of power within tournament organizations that have no business being in positions of power. I have dealt with them, guys. I have dealt with people that are exemplary, and they are just true leaders, and they get it and they understand. And then I've been around other guys that just like, they're clueless and they don't even realize they're clueless. So it's at a bad spot right now, guys. The sport is not in good hands. And I talk about this all the time because I want it to be in good hands. And it's a tragedy for the sport not to be in good hands. I would love to wave my magic wand and fix it all because I think that I've got a lot of things that can fix it. But the problem that you have is that there are just too many irons in the fire, and there's too many people that are protecting their little piece of the pie. There's too many people that don't want to make waves. There's too many people that don't want to alienate the support that they have. A lot of different reasons. There's a lot of different reasons why this sport is broken right now. But if I could highlight three of them, there's three of them. Number one is poor management. Number two is the fact that the poor management has allowed technology to basically give the sport a black eye and undermine it. And number three is there's just too many tournaments and too many tournament fishermen that are not being regulated. We do not have any type of regulatory body in this country as far as tournaments or tournament fishermen. There's not. Every other sport has it. I mean, it's like, you know, how would the NFL function if there was 20 other leagues competing with the NFL and everybody going in different directions? It's like, in this situation, competition is not a good thing because it winds up hurting everybody. Ultimately, it winds up hurting the fishermen, and the only people that are not affected by this are the independently wealthy anglers. It doesn't matter to them because they don't have to have sponsors. They don't have anxiety over money about it. They just, you know, they're going to be okay regardless if they go for 10 years without making a check. So what you're going to see a lot now and moving forward in the future is you're going to see the average bass angler that has the average income, or even maybe average or a little bit above average, they're going to fall by the wayside to the people that are basically independently wealthy, that have family money, trust fund babies, rich parents. That's the direction it's headed in, because the sport will not address the elephant in the room, which is the fact everything's too expensive. Everything's too expensive, and the payouts suck, and the sponsorship opportunities suck. It's next to impossible to get good, solid sponsorships now. You can't make any money in tournament fishing. Tournament payouts are, if you look relative to the tournament payout versus the entry versus the expenses that are incurred as a tournament angler, it is the biggest money pit in the world. You'd be better off going to Las Vegas and throwing $100,000 into a slot machine. You know, there's a few people that are exceptions to the rule. I'm not talking about the guys like, you know, Jacob Wheeler and those dudes. Those are freaks in nature. They're the 1%. I'm talking about the rest of the 95% of the people that live in the real world. But I don't know, guys. I think about this a lot, and it really, really disgusts me a lot. And one of the things that really disgusts me and upsets me a lot is a lot of people that have influence in the sport, they normalize a lot of this stuff, and they literally have got their head in the sand, and it's all about what is here and now, how they can make a quick buck, how they can, you know, maintain the positions they have. And we do not have people in positions of power in the sport that have long-term vision for the future of the sport and all the things and all the challenges that the sport has. We don't have anybody in leadership positions that addresses conservation and environmental issues in the sport, which should be the number one issue. When you're talking about hunting and fishing, if you don't have a healthy environment for your playing field, it doesn't make any difference. And we've got these knuckle dragging, science denying, climate change denying people in positions of power that do not acknowledge the long-term threat to the sustainability of our fisheries environmentally. That's just one part of it. Then you go into all the other aspects that we talked about here. So I don't know. I think that it's going to have to hit rock bottom before it gets better. I mean, I say a lot on the channel here is like, don't expect humans to do the right thing until they're forced to do the right thing. And we are at a very weird place within this industry. I'll give you guys one example, just like with forward-facing sonar. I've been in the middle of this battle with forward-facing sonar, and I'm proud to lead that battle in the sport. And I've taken heat for it, and I'll take heat for it, you know, until I'm, until my days on this earth are gone, because it's the right thing, it's the right fight to have. But you have people in positions of power that simply are in denial of reality of what is happening to the sport. They're in denial of reality because they don't have vision and foresight. They live in a silo, like an information bubble that is just self-serving to that extent. Everything that I talk about when I'm talking about technology, forward-facing sonar, environmental issues, it's not for me. My day in the sun's over. I've already had my day in the sun, 25, 30 years ago. I'm focusing on what's going to be after me, the next generation. And that is the type of people we need in positions of power, those people that are focused on what is around the corner 25 or 30 years from now, not about how many fish that you can catch now, immediately, instant gratification from the cheater box or, whatever. So I don't know, guys. I swear, I wish that I could freaking win the Powerball and buy out MLF and Bassmaster and just freaking, start it from scratch again. Go back to the Ray Scott days. Go back to the days when bass fishing was truly great, and not only great, but sustainable with that. So we've got a lot of challenges in front of us, guys. You can choose to deny the reality. You can choose to, pretend that everything's all rainbows and unicorns, and then you'll see what that gets you about 20 or 30 years from now. Or we can wake up and we can face this reality that we're in. We can quit sweeping everything underneath the carpet. We can quit pussyfooting around these technological and environmental issues we have threatening the sport and do the right thing. So it's a choice we have to make. And right now, guys, we do not have leaders in this sport. We've got some independent voices on social media, YouTube and that type of stuff. Very few independent voices that have the balls to say the right thing and have the balls to say the things that need to be said. And I just want to invite everybody to fight the good fight, man. Don't get sucked into the propaganda, the spin of all the stuff you hear a lot of these guys talking about, because it is self-serving. If you hear anything in the sport that is short-sighted and is not concerned about the future, sustainability of the sport on all levels, then it's probably not the right path to go down. So anyway, guys, let me know what y'all think about it. Shoot some comments in there. Appreciate y'all tuning in. I don't mean to do videos like this to be a downer, but it's a reality check. And I do appreciate everybody that is fighting the good fight. It's the right fight to have. If you're one of those people that are on the fence or one of those people that think I'm a freaking nut job for bringing this up, come on over to the light. Get out of the dark side. Come on over to the light. We will welcome you with open arms and hopefully do what we can to make the sport better for the future. So talk to you later.